Today we are going to talk about wedding content creators from a photographer and videographer standpoint, what our thoughts are and how we see this really coming through in 2024 and even probably not going away anytime soon. I feel like it's one of the most crazy growing roles that's popped up in the wedding industry, like a new job in the wedding industry.
I know, a new vendor we get to work with.
And so let's just unpack that and see what we can understand about it and learn from it and hopefully be able to sort of dive into it with a fresh pair of eyes.
Yeah, the wedding content creator. So that has to do with somebody following around the couple and enjoying the wedding as we do, but also creating content using their phones for TikTok, for Instagram. So little trendy stuff that they do, transitions that they can put together that you can share right away, right? That's one of the biggest points of the content creator is that they want something that can be posted the day of or the next day of their wedding. And I think a lot of people love that kind of stuff. Like we try our best to pull out our phones and get some of that stuff as we're working, but sometimes our job takes a lot of our attention and we may not do it as much as we think we do.
Yeah.
And so it created this new role that is now emerging. I don't know if it even was popular last year.
I think it started last year. Or
it did,
maybe
okay.
we saw it happening more last year. But I do see this not going away. I think that's kind of why we started doing some of our own BTS, like with our phones and stuff. Like I pretty much had a phone on top of my camera like 90% of the time at weddings, especially this year, at important parts whenever I could. I see content creators as an additional piece to the wedding, an additional cost too, right? Like I don't think that people are doing these for cheap, but it does give you that instant access. I'm excited to talk about this. So talk to me a little bit more about what a content creator does. Like what is their role other than they follow us around like a normal person, like a normal photo videographer team? What is it that they're doing differently than us?
I think one of the main things that they would do is guide the couple in creating transitional videos. There's a lot of cool stuff where someone would like kick in the air and as they kick they would change their clothing, or they would jump and do that, or they would block the camera and then they come out of it. And I think we can probably do that, but it's not really our main focus on the day, right? And we've taken some suggestions from our couples before on that, oh, I really want to do this thing, and like we're open to do it, but it's not our job. Our job as a videographer, capture kind of the ceremony and the speeches and create highlight of the day and whatever it is, but it's not about capturing a bunch of these small clips. And also, if videographers don't include RAW with their package, then at least this content creator, I assume, gives them access to all these videos and photos that take all day, and it could be another added bonus to the couple when they have this kind of raw footage of their day.
I think the big story is, will it replace videographers? I think that's what I want to dive into, because our phones can do like great stuff. We've used our phones in certain scenarios where like we were late on the dance floor, we were done working, but we still pulled out our phones to capture some stuff, and that still made it into like our final videos. So the quality isn't awful, obviously, but do you think it's going to replace videographers?
I don't think so. I think there's some things that videographers can just do better. For example, capturing audio. So unless you're going to be miking people up and having it directly plugged into your camera as you're taking some stuff, the audio is really going to suffer. I think it's more about capturing kind of these raw, like candid moments between everyone. And not to say that videographers don't do that, but a lot of the times we're busy setting up for kind of the big events that are going to happen on the day, and we may not be available to be everywhere at once. So it just adds another angle of capturing your wedding in different places, but also the trendiness of having your wedding or having parts of your big day be available right away and just be different, right? And a lot of the times we shoot in a landscape format and not really in portrait, right? So a lot of our stuff isn't really formatted to be released in a portrait style. So it gives kind of that additional way to have a TikTok or to have a reel. And those formats are just so popular right now. You know, social media has kind of taken over that instant gratification of something gets posted right away, like your first kiss, and people can see it almost live as soon as it gets posted or whatever it is. I read online that they have access to your Instagram and TikTok and stuff, and they can like post it on your account as you're going through the day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
I don't know how the complications are about doing that. Maybe they use your phone or whatever it is, but it's kind of cool that they would be able to post on your behalf on throughout your wedding day.
So we don't think it's going to replace videographers. However, what if somebody can't afford a videographer? Do you think a content creator is a happy middle ground for somebody?
It depends what your goal is. I think if your goal is to have a ceremony you can watch later, maybe not, unless they're talking into a microphone and it's being blasted out of the speakers and that's how that's capturing the audio. But nothing is really going to replace a high production of a certain event like speeches or ceremony. But I think if you really don't have another choice or it's out of your budget and really that's all you can afford, something is better than nothing.
Of course, true. I guess I have a couple of things that just from knowing what goes on behind the scenes of being a photographer and videographer and all the things that can go wrong, my concerns are that everybody can pick up a camera or whatever and start doing wedding videos or wedding photography. Like, you don't actually have to go to school for it. So in this case, I feel like there's just a lot of opportunity for errors. To me, I just think about all the things that could go wrong, like not having enough space on their phone, batteries dying. I know that is something that we have to worry about as professionals. And being able to not get in the way as well. So say, for instance, like the photographer and the videographer are there, and then you have your second shooters as well, and then you have tripod angles, and then you have perhaps this content creator who doesn't necessarily understand that to capture the groom's reaction, like we need to have this like other angle. And sometimes in those situations, as you know, it's tight. Like there's not a lot of room to specifically add like a third person in that mix, or even like a sixth person in that mix, or whatever, or a fifth. Those situations, that's where I think it'll be tricky. Obviously, it's not impossible, but I think it's just worthwhile understanding where that's coming from. And I think in our case, maybe even exploring hiring somebody specifically on our team as an add-on, perhaps, to that process that we do already. I just don't want it to be something that replaces. I can just hire a content creator for the day versus like hiring you to do my videography, right? I think it would have to be like an add-on.
I think we're going to see a lot more of that too, as current photographers and videographers are going to add that as a service that they provide. I think that has some merit to it, because then at least it'll be somebody that they hire that's part of their team and will be as prepared on the wedding day as they are. You're right, it could be a lot of noobs out there that are just saying that they're content creators and maybe they're really good at it, but they don't have as much experience on a wedding day. And I think that plays a huge part, knowing the flow of how things are going, where to stand at certain spots and not get in the way of other vendors that are also trying to do a job. Imagine there's another vendor that pops out too, and now we're like 6 people trying to follow this couple and not get in each other's ways. And it's already hard enough as 2, 3, 4 people to add more people. It's going to take some getting used to, I think.
Yeah. The thing is, one of the things that we did this year is we did have somebody follow us around and captured some behind the scenes for us. I think there's validity in what we're doing because we're trying to show it like, it's almost like from behind us, right? Yeah. Whereas this person is going to be not behind us, they're going to be beside us, right? And I think it's going to be so interesting to see how content creators change the dynamic of the day. Like, there's things that we have to think about in terms of timing, right? If they are going to be doing these transitions, right? We've all recorded reels, we've all recorded things, and we know how glitchy sometimes that can be. Those types of things take time, right? So it's also going to be about adding more time to your day to kind of create content, if that makes sense. But on the flip side, and this is something that I think I wanted to explore with you, is what do you think about possibly, instead of hiring a content creator to do this, what if they just looked at having an additional fee from their already hired photographer and videographer team to sort of edit something quicker, or like you said, add raw video to their package, or whatever it is? What do you think about that?
If you're shooting vertical or changing your horizontal into a vertical, then you have to make sure that you're wide enough that you would see it once you converted it to a different video. I think I wouldn't be against getting paid more money to create something a little bit faster or to create something that would mimic that. A lot of it stems from they want these clips to be shot in a certain way and they want it to be kind of posted fast, right?
True.
And when we get into wedding season, it's really tough to kind of balance that on top of already a workload of weddings and clients that have paid us to do the other job that we're supposed to do.
But wouldn't they be the same, right? Like they're going to be the same in the sense
True.
that they're going to get busy and this is all going to, anyways, I just see it evolving, right? And
I think so too, yeah. It's only in the infancy of its, I'm sure more of these are going to come out, different ways of doing it. People are going to structure their packages in different ways. How many transitional videos are you going to pay for? How many edited videos are you going to pay for? How much raw are you going to get?
Yeah.
All that's going to change, and kind of like videography has changed. It used to be a 3-hour video of the whole day put together, but now it's like a 5-minute highlight clip. So who knows what it's going to evolve into after we see more of these come out.
I hope that couples still see the value, though. I guess that's where I'm concerned, is like, I hope they still see the value in having a well captured event. I think sometimes even when we talk to couples and they're like, do we need one shooter or 2 shooters? And we have to explain that. The same thing is going to go for these content creators, right? They can't be in all places at once, right? So same things
True.
like prep or places like, are they going to be there all day? Are they going to be there from like 8 in the morning till like 12 at night to capture everything? I'm curious sort of how that will all work out for people.
Do you need 2 content creators to capture both preps?
Like both angles of the ceremony, the speeches or whatever, are they capturing the full ceremony? I think that was one of my biggest things, is trying to understand, like, are they capturing the full ceremony and the full speeches? Because that essentially is almost trying to replace what we do, like as photos and videos. But really, I just don't see that, based on the research that we've done, that they are capturing that. It's very much like small clips, little parts of the day edited together, moments that the couple perhaps didn't see, or other things that are happening that like we just didn't capture, or maybe we do capture but they just captured it in a different format, I guess, and on an iPhone.
Yeah, I don't think they're ever going to get replaced by another vendor. I think maybe the roles will change a little bit into what each one captures throughout the day, and hopefully it just turns into we all complement each other. All right, in the end, and you have some of that quick hitting stuff with the content creator. You have your long lasting videos with the videographer, and then the photographer is more of that high quality images that you can print and make a huge canvas on the wall.
Is this just a friend who has an iPhone? Do they have like a gimbal? Do they have extra batteries? How do they deal with storage? Like all that sort of stuff. I feel like there should be like a list of questions. It's not just like, hey, I do content creation, and like, what if they have a wedding the next day? Do they still give me my edits even though they have to be at a wedding the next day? Those would be some of the things that I would want to know.
I think those are just questions that you have to ask them before hiring them.
In 20 years, are we still going to be watching videos this way or this way? Who knows, right?
But
TVs are always going to be this way. You're not going to have a TV like this, you know?
Well, I don't know. Maybe there are TVs the other way. And you can watch full-blown TikToks without having the 2 black bars on the sides.
In 20 years, when you're going to go back and look at your wedding video, I think people need to understand is that it's not going to be something that you'll be able to really look back on the same way as you would with a wedding videographer.
Yeah, but I think everyone is thinking about the now and what's popular now, what can I do now to be different. They really want these content creators to come in and create some stuff that's just going to be a wow factor in people's eyes. They're not going to look back at it 20 years from now and be like, I'm so glad I did this transitional TikTok video.
But that's what I mean, right? I think people need to understand that it's never really going to fully replace what a videographer captures and what they do, right? Like the magic that you create and that you capture, like they're going to capture some of that, but it's not going to be to the same level of quality to be able to look back on in, 20 years time, right?
I mean, phones can shoot 4K now, but you're right, it's not the same megapixels, for example, so you can't blow it up to be as nice as it could be. And I always come back to the audio part, and I'm sure there's some ways that you can, but I feel like it'll be pretty complicated to get good audio from multiple sources into one phone. In the end, they're here. They're going to be here for a while, as long as social media is the way that it is. I'm not really afraid of it, if that's what you're asking me. But I think it'd be exciting to just see what comes out of it, right? I haven't really dove into content creation for weddings and what they offer. I haven't seen what packages they offer. Are they there for 12 hours a day? How many photos and videos do they give you? How many edits? I'm sure that's like our packages where you can pick and choose what you want and then pay accordingly, right?
True.
But I think right now they're a little bit cheap, on the cheaper side for content creation, just because it's a little bit easier. You don't have to invest so much into the gear to make it professional. I'm excited to work with a few this year and just see how it goes.
Some of the things that clients should ask content creators when they're thinking about hiring them are how many hours they're going to be there, what they're going to be capturing, how long are the clips going to be? Are they only capturing 10, 15-second clips here and there? If they are editing for same day posting, how long does that take, right? Like if they're going to do a video and then it's going to take however long to edit it and then post it, like what are they not capturing during that time? And does that play into like things like your timeline? And there's also storage. I know that sometimes with us, we always get asked, like, do you have dual card slots for your memory cards? Because what if something happens, right? Like you lose your phone, or someone steals your phone, or your phone just dies. So what happens in that case? To me, it's just like there's a lot of things, especially if, say, for instance, you didn't hire a videographer and you had this content creator come for the day and then now they've lost everything. These are the types of questions that I would want to know. I think it's just really important to understand that you're not going to get the same thing as a videographer. At the end of the day, I want to highlight to people is that there are some things that you're just not going to see be the same. And I hope that people realize that. I feel like right now people see it as a way to sort of substitute it, but I really just don't see that as a real substitution. As photographers and videographers, we all need to understand that this new role is here and it's coming and it's not going away anytime soon. Let's be real, all of the clients and bridesmaids and whoever that have their phones out all day are already doing that as it stands now. This is just more of an official role. It really hasn't changed in that sense. If anything, I feel like this is a way for people to have an unofficial BTS person for the day. Then hopefully it means less phones out during the ceremony, because now they not only have 2 people recording it, there's like a third additional person that's doing it. And I hope that photographers and videographers will maybe even consider adding this as an add-on to their package, because I think that if people want it, it would be much better to have somebody from our team that knows how we work and understands our dynamic and won't get in the way, but will still capture the day in a good way. That is something as professionals we should be exploring to make sure that we're doing that. And then also, if somebody does have a content creator that just shows up for the day, and maybe they're not even like an official person, maybe it's just like they're doing it for free, for exposure, or for free for their friends to kind of build their business or something. It's just about making sure that you're also just explaining things to them, right? So that they can get the most out of the day. I've had a couple like new videographers that have joined me on the day, and I feel like it's our job as professionals to make that as easy for them as possible. They got hired to do a job just like we did, right? Or maybe they didn't even get paid for it, but it's still a job, right? They're still important. They wouldn't have them there if they didn't think they were important. So it's just about sharing the space and finding a way that works well with those people, so that this way, hopefully, there's no added friction on your wedding day.
Maybe they don't have as much wedding experience as some of us professionals, so it's our job to teach them the ropes, or at least have that good communication with them, because they're just going to join our huddle, right? Especially if we're working with a new videographer or photographer, we always huddle before all the different events to make sure, yeah, this is where we're setting up, this is where we're going to be standing, and it's just going to be another person to join that gang.
Let's just hope they listen.
Yeah. That's another thing.
Let's just hope they listen, they don't get in the way. But at the same time, I think they understand if they are doing these extra things, it's just going to have to be added into the timeline, right?
Yeah.
It's not something that we can just sort of all of a sudden be like on the fly, we want to do this. It just makes the day more complicated, right?
That's
those unexpected things.
That's another question we're going to have to ask our couples. Do you have a content creator coming on the day?
Maybe.
Right? To make sure that our timeline reflects that, and we have enough time to do all the events, all the different things that they're going to be there. Or do you want to hire a content creator? Yeah, because here's what we have to offer.
True. So all in all, What do we think? Content creators?
I think they're good for the industry. It's always nice to have another job pop up of some service that somebody can do. For us, it's easy to incorporate it into what we're already doing. And I think it's, it'll be a lot of fun I think that's another thing is that couples just want to have that extra layer of fun of doing the transitions or the fun poses or whatever it is for other people. People love that recognition. They love seeing themselves, all those likes and all those things, right? So they're gonna even put more effort into making their wedding the way that they want it. And that's something that we are huge advocates for, and to make it fun for yourself, make it fun for everyone else, come out with some cool, fun content at the same time.
You just made me think of something that is really important, is that instead of being afraid of these content creators, maybe look at ways that you can also be more of that fun content creator yourself. We're already kind of creating content all the time. So maybe it's just about us being more aware of doing some of that stuff and having that conversation with people. As a wedding professional, like as a wedding photographer and videographer, maybe it's just looking at ways that you can do this with your couples as well. Last year, I didn't charge people for it, but I put my phone on top of my camera. Of course, you can hear me like clicking away and stuff like that. But I ended up sending a lot of those videos to my clients, and I would hand my phone off to like a bridesmaid or whatever to capture like a first look, especially if somebody didn't have video. Oh, I wish they had video, and just wanted to sort of capture that for them behind the scenes. That's an added value that you can already like throw into your package. People are seeing that you're doing that. There are ways to do it, or maybe you have a content creator that comes around with you. Like you just hire somebody yourself that will capture stuff for them, but also capture stuff for you, right? It's capturing you behind the scenes, but also maybe some clips of the couple like just themselves, and we can just send that as part of a package. I don't think we should be afraid of this. I think we should just embrace it and see if there's ways that we can make this work for us, and hopefully even make more money, because it's not harder than what we're already doing. It's like learning a new operating system on a computer, right? It takes a few times to figure it out, and then all of a sudden it seems like it's always been that way, and you don't know how it was ever another way. My advice to photographers and videographers who are worried about this is that think of ways that you can become a better content creator, so that this way they don't need to hire anybody else.
You can also just leverage it and try to get some BTS of yourself. We're a huge part of a wedding day all the time, and sometimes we have no photos and videos of ourselves doing stuff.
Yeah.
So if they capture some of that, then at least the couple has memories that include us, and they could share it, just that we share with all the other vendors that we capture.
True.
Just send it to them or tag them when you post stuff or whatever it is.
Like think of all the other vendors that could benefit from this too, right? If there's nothing really happening and they're just kind of getting these little clips, but maybe the DJ's setting up, they could be capturing that, or maybe the officiant's talking to people or whatever, right? There's all these like little moments that from a vendor perspective would be really good to have as well too, right? So I think we need to embrace it, but also look at trying to incorporate it yourself, and maybe it is worthwhile having a discussion on what that would look like. How much video would I do with it on top of my camera for the day, right? If you have any comments or questions about content creators for your wedding, let us know, because we would love to hear from you, and maybe we'll have to have a part 2 if it gets spicy.